Hello and welcome to a new Hangout on Air. My name is Sibel and I'm part of the Google AdWords support team. And today I will be showing you how you can sell AdWords to your clients. So you're an agency, you need to get a new client on board, and you want to sell them AdWords. The first thing you need to do is to actually tell them what are the benefits of AdWords. Why should your client be on AdWords to start with? We usually take the approach of the 3 R's: reach, relevance, and return on equity, on investment, ROI. So when we're discussing reach, we're talking about your ads will appear all day, every day. As well, our Google network reaches 80% of the world. So by just telling that to the client, telling them that you will be showing and displaying your ads to people at all times of the day, even at times that you might select, and you will be reaching 80% of the world, that is a very good point to start getting them on board. The second one is relevance. So as you all might know, targeting on AdWords is very specific. You can target by interest, you can target by topics, you can also reach the people searching for your product or service. So the target is very specific. It's not that you will be targeting in a very broad manner where out of the 100 people that might see your ad, 10 might be interested. However, you can target the people that are most likely going to be interested in your product or service, or are actually searching for your product or service via our search networks. And that is very important to communicate to a potential client that might benefit a lot from being on AdWords. And the third R is the return on investment, ROI. As you might know as well, AdWords is super measurable. It shows you the number of clicks, the interactions, the conversions, how your ads actually impacted the market. You have all those information there on AdWords. It's very easy to have them, to export them. You have reports. You will keep the client in the loop about all the performance and about the campaigns in general. And it's nearly in real time. So everything that's happening now could be communicated to the client directly. It doesn't require that you go back and study or analyze the performance. It happens in real time. So those 3 R's are very important to communicate to that potential client, just to get them interested in the idea of AdWords. The next step would be to get them interested in you. Why would they want you to be handling their AdWords? They might have shown at this point interest in AdWords itself, but they need to understand why you as an agency can be the go-to people for their AdWords account. So at this point, it's very important that you show them your value proposition. First thing, we're certified. You are certified. You know the platform. You know what AdWords is. You have the staff for it. Let's see, also you have the staff. You're specialized, you're certified, you've done all the exams, you've been to all the conferences, you've been to all the events, so you have the know-how, and you need to communicate that to the client. Tell them that you've been there, you've done that, you've made your mistakes, you've solved your mistakes. Why would your client want to waste his time just trying to learn on AdWords where you are the specialist there and you can actually make him get as much benefit from AdWords as possible in a much smaller time? So you have to communicate your specialty in AdWords, whether you're showing out those certificates or whether you're discussing the number of clients you had. Then you need to show them what makes you stand out. You've worked, as we said, you've worked with AdWords. You've had your clients, you're certified. So what makes you actually stand out in this case is you know the features that would exactly benefit the client, whether it's extra ad extensions, whether it is a certain type of campaigns, whether also it is a beta feature that your agency has access to but other agencies don't, or the client himself does not have access to. All that should be communicated to that potential client, just to show him that, hey, we are able to use AdWords for your benefit. We know the features. We know what's best for you, the greatest formats, the sizes, the placements, all that. There's so much into AdWords that you are aware of and you can help the client know about. So that idea of how you can make your certifications or make your know-how stand out is very important to get the client to trust that you should handle their AdWords accounts. Of course, analytics. As I mentioned in the earlier slide, everything is measurable. You can show them the effect of the campaign that you have set for them in real time and tell them that is the result. It could be the idea of having, or the idea of being able to see the result at in a small period of time is always a great way for a client to trust the platform and to trust an agency. You understand the language of AdWords. You understand interactions, clicks, impressions, conversions. You understand all that. And you can simplify that language to the client. And you have to tell that to your potential client. Make sure he knows that you understand what's coming out of AdWords. How can you get the client to know about you? Or how can you get the client to know that you are certified? You know the know-how. You've done it before. Everything we just discussed. We always recommend to our agencies to have case studies. Case studies are just success stories where you tell your clients how good you are and you show how good you are. So pretty much to make a case study, all you have to do is put together a quick 1 to 2 page case studies about the work you're doing with your clients. Of course, so you have that client that you've done their AdWords account. First of all, you need to do is ask their permission. Ask them, can we show our success story with you? You got that permission. Then you write up the problem that client, your old client, had, how you solved it, and the results you had. Those are the 3 most important parts that you need to discuss in a case study: the problem, the solution, and the result. And of course, you put your logo, you put your client's logo, create a fancy document, and voila, you'll have a case study of 2 pages. And that case study, we always recommend you give it out to your prospective or your potential clients for them to know what you have done, for them to actually trust you. At this stage, the client wants AdWords. He's very interested in AdWords. He likes the 3 R's approach. He likes the idea that you are going to be handling his AdWords. However, he needs to trust you. He needs to sign that deal, close that deal. So at this stage, what you need to do is prepare a pitch. You need to do your homework. You need to understand the client's need, the market, and the best campaign strategy for him. To prepare your homework, we actually recommend you go through the account itself, the current account your client has, and other Google tools that are available for you to understand trends, to understand search keywords, and be able to create the best strategy for your client. Before you actually start your homework, the first step to gaining that trust is by asking access to the account, asking the client for him to provide you access to his account. The biggest mistake that happens is when you as an agency approach the client and ask them for their username, for their account number, username, and password. We would never recommend that you ask for the username and password as a first approach to get the access. It will seem fishy to the client. He might not like it, and he might not go on board. So what we always recommend is go into send access via an MCC. So everything you need to request from the client is his customer ID, and then from there, having his customer ID added, link it to your MCC, and get the required authorization through the process of having a linked account to your MCC. It's just very important to do that, to not make the client feel that it's something fishy or something is wrong. And that would be just the first step for the client to start trusting you. Now that you have had access to the account, you're there, you're looking into the structure of the account. First thing you have to look at, you need to look at how many campaigns he has, how many ad groups he has to each campaign. Does he have a lot of keywords or a few keywords? Is it very simple? Is it very complicated? It needs a whole new restructuring. All that you need to look into. And what's interesting here is if we saw that the client has a lot of accounts, a lot of ad groups, or so many campaigns with so many few keywords, it's very easy at this point. You know that he needs you. You know that when you enter that sales meeting at the end of the day with your pitch, you just go and tell him, hey, look, I saw the structure of your campaign. It's not good, it's weak because A, B, C. So that would be the first way to grab the customer's attention, to get him to see that, oh, well, you know what you're talking about. Second thing you need to know now that you need to look at now that you are on his account, look into the URLs or the landing pages of his ads. So you go through the ads, you go through the destination URLs, and you can see, is there some URLs that are leading the clients to a 404 error page? Those URLs need to be removed. Those URLs are resulting in his ads getting disapproved. So as well, you need to communicate that to the client in your pitch. Tell them that, hey, we noticed or we diagnosed the reason around your ads disapproval. It will show them that you really understand what you're talking about. Another thing that you might look at is, are all his ads directing the users to the same page? Regardless to maybe he has a URL or he has a website where it has so many pages, a page about us, another page about the product, another page about one product relative to another. Every ad should direct the user to the best or the most relevant web page, as you know, just because that will increase his quality score and that would make his ad a whole lot better. That also you need to communicate. So by just showing them that you know what are the type of your URLs that the ad should be directing people to and the reason around that, you will be gaining the trust of the client. And that is what we need to make sure we do by the end of our pitch. And of course, you need to go, now that you are on that account, you need to see the conversions. Does your client or your potential client have conversion tracking? Does he actually understand what his ad is resulting to? Is it actually getting clients to convert at the end of the day? What is that sort of conversion? Is it to call your client, or is it to just fill a form for your client? Or to start with, he doesn't even have a conversion. So as you might see in the slide, this client, for instance, does not have conversion tracking. That would be great now because, as we mentioned before, a client wants to see measurable results. He wants to see results that he can say, oh, look, our campaign did that. And now with telling them that you can give them that by only setting something as simple as conversion tracking would also help a lot with your pitch. As well, you need not to forget about the change history. So you go to their change history and you see and you understand when was the last time changes were made. If you notice that one person enters the account and changes it once per week, for example, that's a great take for you to go and tell them, when you have us on board, when you have our agency, we will be taking care of your account every day or for this amount of hours, which would be relatively much higher than the amount of hours that their marketing team or the client himself is putting into AdWords. So when you show him that, in comparison to what effort he is putting into AdWords, you can provide much more. You can give way more time for AdWords because it's your job, it's your specialty. Then that will get the client to trust you even more and hand over his account. Now, after we've looked into the account itself, we start to leave the account and we start to go to the website. So the first thing, as I mentioned at the beginning of this Hangout on Air, we will work with AdWords, the account itself, take any insights we have from the account, any improvements that are needed, and then communicate them in our pitch. And the next point, we need to start strategizing, seeing what is the best way that we can improve those mistakes or those small things that we just discussed earlier to the client. First thing you need to do, of course, is you need to go into the website, understand the website. What are the conversion actions? Is it filling a form or making a call or actually making a purchase? So entering the website, selecting the product, checking out, putting it in a cart, checking out, make the purchase. And is that the conversion we're looking at? Or is it just entering the website, finding a form, submitting the information on the form, and leaving the website? So it's very important for you to show the client that you know what you're talking about. You know what their website or the main goal of their website is. So that's the first thing you need to look at. The second thing is the type of the landing page. Is it easy to navigate? Is it something you need to recommend to the client that he has to make changes to? Maybe it seems very, maybe it just navigates the user into different pages that will not make sense, and then the user will just bounce right away. Those information is very important to communicate to the client, because the client would see that you know what you're talking about, will see that you have made this research, you've seen his website, you really care about his end goal. And the website is the first go-to place to show you what the client wants from his business. Now that you've seen the website, we need to even go broader. We need to even leave the client slightly and start searching for the keywords of the product on Google search. So for example, in this, here, as you see on your screen, if you're selling MAC cosmetics, so you want to see the word MAC cosmetics or buy MAC cosmetics online, how is it working for your client? You add it on the search and you see the results. As you see here, you have the first result is MAC Cosmetics, which is great. So that is your competitor. Now you're aware who is your competitor. You saw the organic results and you saw the paid results. So who has good search engine optimization? And like shopping online, maccosmetics.com. So MAC Cosmetics have really good search engine optimization and they have a good organic result position. And then you will notice that the word Mac is actually triggering an ad about MacBooks, about laptops. And that's when you see that when you go back to with the pitch or with the strategy to the client, you'll tell him, hey, I noticed that the word Mac triggers MacBooks or triggers laptops, and we do not want that. So I will be adding that as a negative keyword. Just showing him that you've seen how people are reaching out or what is triggering his ads would make the client even more interested to see what you're capable of doing and how you are capable of adding value to his account. Then you have to, of course, check out the keyword planner or the keyword tool. You need to use that tool to see what are the good search volumes, what are the words that people are searching for in the region. For example, if we're targeting MAC cosmetics for UAE, so our target location is UAE, we need to see how many people search for that word, how much does it cost, what's the CPC of that word, is there anything about the industry that those keywords say. So as I mentioned earlier, the word MacBook is triggering an ad. So Mac is triggering the ad about a MacBook. So having a keyword planner will show you or will give you even more insight on what exactly are the keywords that your client would best benefit from and how much approximately they cost them. Because at the end of the day, you also need to have or include the costs in your pitch. So the keyword planner would be one of the tools that will give you an approximate cost for that. As well, you have the traffic estimator tool. So with the traffic estimator tool, you can understand how much traffic would a keyword get, would a keyword trigger the ad or get the ad to get. So how much would the keyword result in traffic to your website? So that is what the whole traffic estimator is. So are there clicks out there? Do people click on your ad to actually buy the product, or do they just click to see the product? What is the how much does the cost per click look like? And of course, you'll have a more granular approach, or the geography. You'll know exactly in the UAE, Dubai versus Sharjah, or Dubai versus Abu Dhabi. How does the traffic change versus between those two regions? So that is something also the traffic estimator could give you insight in. So what's interesting about this tool is you could just give it a hypothetical CPC and budget, and based on that hypothetical CPC and budget, it will give you an estimate of the traffic or the number of visitors you'll have on that website. It's a great way to, or it's a great tool to give you insight when you are submitting that final pitch to the client in terms of how much is expected for people, or what's the expectations, or to set expectations to the client with the budget that he's given you. So let's say the client told you, I want to pay 100 dirhams per day. By just having 100 dirhams per day, you can tell him approximately what are the costs per clicks and approximately how many people will be visiting their website, and you will give them also an approach on what type of keywords, or what are the keywords that actually will result in that traffic that he is looking for. Next comes Google Trends. So Google Trends is a very interesting program that you could easily understand the search trends. So in general, the search trends on webs, news, on the web in general, news. And it takes into consideration the search trends based on region, based on time of the year, holidays, vacation, the holidays, celebrations happening around the world. So it takes into consideration all those factors and provides you with the search terms, or provides you with not also the search trends in general, not even search terms. So what's very interesting about Google Trends, that it gives you a look on certain keywords, or certain keywords. For example, as you might see on the screen right now, you have macaroni, so pasta. You have computers versus cosmetics. So you could see that over the years, people started searching way more for cosmetics. So Mac cosmetics as a search trend has increased over the years between 2005 and 2012. Similarly, Mac computers as well. So the main competitor, or the main search term out there that is competing with the search term Mac, is Mac computers, whereas the pasta or the macaroni has stayed stable at a very low search volume over the years. So that is not something you'd be concerned of. As well, as I mentioned, Google Trends will give you regional insights. So a word, how would it be, or that search term, how much is a region interested in that search term? For example, let's say here, as you can see on the screen, in Libya, people are more interested in MAC cosmetics than in Saudi Arabia. So that will give us a better understanding on regions. So if you saw that the client's product is searched more, or people show more interest in that product in one specific region, then you go to that pitch and tell them, hey, we will create for you a campaign just for that region, because we know that that region are interested in you, and you show them the data that you have obtained from Google Trends, and you show them the data that you have obtained from the keyword planner, showing them that the keyword MAC cosmetics would derive or would result in much higher traffic in, let's say, Dubai rather than Abu Dhabi, for example. Having those specific details, showing them that you know where their business would best prosper, would definitely get that client on board. Would definitely tell the client that you know what you're talking about, and you actually you are interested in his main goal. You're interested in what he does, and you want the best for him. That is the most important part. You need to show him that you want the best for his business. Similarly, you can, as we mentioned, you see also geographically, it shows you the map, it tells you how much it's the interest differs between one region and another. As well, it gives you those words, the words that you're searching for, if they are of your benefit. For example, to just have a clearer view on that. If, as you can see on the screen, you have the word fireworks. You're selling, your client is selling fireworks. So when you put the word fireworks to see the search trends, you notice that a lot of people are searching for Adobe fireworks or fireworks download or Macromedia fireworks, which shows us that fireworks is actually also used when people are searching for software. So that will result or trigger your ad to appear to people that are not likely going to be interested in your product. So that is when you go to the client and tell them, hey, by the way, you know that your keyword triggers ads. The keyword triggers your ad. However, that ad might not be interesting. Might not be for everyone because other people are searching for software, or also searching for songs like Katy Perry's fireworks lyrics. So all that insight, just taking that insight and going to the client and telling him that I know those words are acting that way, and you actually have the numbers there, just using a very simple tool such as Google Trends, the client will start understanding the market way more. And that all, you have not started with actually showing him results. You're just explaining the market to him, which makes it a whole lot more interesting. Now that you've got all the insights, so we said now you got all the insights, you understand the market, you understand his account, you need to go to that sales meeting and give him and show him that you can handle his account. So we usually recommend that you have this sheet where you input the budget that he's willing to pay. From the keyword planner and traffic estimator, you'll have an average cost per click. You will give them an expected conversion rate, also from your analysis on Google Trends, on the tools, on analysis of the campaign itself, his account itself. You can give him expected conversion rate. From your knowledge of his website, you can provide them with the value per conversion. So how much would it cost him to get a person to convert to actually purchase the product, entering the website, purchasing the product. It will cost him X amount, and how much will he benefit, the return, the revenue, and you subtract that for him, providing him with the value of the conversion. That information itself is a very interesting information for the client, and it usually plays as a really good attention grabber, because it shows that you know what you're talking about. And of course, after you've had all those information, you need to provide them with the expected return, your fees. You have to be very transparent about your fees. You have to, you should not be asking. So if you said from the beginning that you're willing, your fees are, let's say, 1,000 dirhams for 1 month of working on the account, you need to be transparent about that. You should not be increasing that by the end of that month. And the most important part, the results, your expected return on investment would be 45%. That should be given to that potential client during that sales meeting that you'll have with him. So of course, you will add up everything, and you notice that the cost per click might be 1 dirham, but with all the information you've got, it would be 1.45, and that would be his competitive cost per click to get him to actually appear and to get his campaigns running really well. The last part of your pitch, after you looked into his account, after you've understood the business, after you've understood the trends of the business, the market itself, after you've given him an overview, you need to set a strategy on how you will charge him. Usually we have noticed that agencies have 3 different ways of charging customers. Here, there's no right or wrong way. It's just an effective way. It's based on your agency's goals and your client's goals and how that would best suit both of you. One of the business models is the percentage of spend. So percentage of spend, usually it's very common, but the disadvantage of that is that you are incentivized to spend all the clients' money without actually looking at its profitability or looking into the result of it. So let's say the client asked you to spend 1,000 dirhams per month. You will invite, and your percentage of spend is 10%. You will invite invoicing them 100, let's say, if that is the percentage of spend. Another approach is the fixed rate. This is a traditional approach, and usually it's less. It's better than the percentage of spend, but as I said, there's no right or wrong way in terms of charging. So the fixed rate would be telling them that our rate for per hour, for example, our rate to work on your AdWords account per hour is 50 dirhams. We see that your account requires 100 hours of work, so then we will need you to pay 50 times 100. Fixed rate, the results are not taken into consideration, and it's just about the rate that you have. However, in this strategy, things get complicated quickly, and the main reason around that would be now the goal might be that you can increase their conversion rate by 10%, and that would require 100 hours of work. Or that's just an example there. However, in the future, you will no longer want to increase it by 10%. Maybe you want to maintain it. Maintaining the conversion rate would require that you stay for that you will work on the account for 50 hours. So then again, that will decrease the amount of money you're getting from your client because that would be the rate. So not having this, that it will no longer be a fixed rate, because at the end of the day, goals will change, hours required for that account will change, and there will be some complications between you and the client. An option to mix, and then we have the third option, which is as well a very incentivized option. It's a very nice option, which is the performance-based, and it just tells the client that if I did well, you pay me this %. If the results were not as that well or were not as planned, you pay me that %. So it's directly linked to the results of the campaigns you've set for the client. It's an interesting approach because it incentivizes you as an agency to do a great job, because the better you do, the more money you will get. But as well, as I mentioned before, it can get complicated because the goals would be different. Did it result in, let's say now the goal is 50% conversion, but in the future is smaller amount of conversion, smaller %. Would you be getting the same % for a smaller %, for a smaller conversion rate? So all that would play a role. There is an approach where you can mix the fixed rate with the performance rate, by which you tell the client, our fees are X, or let's say 150 per hour, and if we got those results, increase your conversion by 50%, you pay us this %. So it would be this mixture between fixed rate, where you make sure you're getting the amount of effort you've had or you've put into that account, plus an incentive to work better on the account to get those results higher, to get a higher %. Similarly, if the results were not as expected, you will not get that %, but you will be getting that fixed rate. So it makes things less complicated. So at this point, after you've selected your business model and after you've selected the strategy, you've looked into the account, you know what's good for the client, you go to that sales meeting and you would be ready to get that client on board. It's very important you look and do your homework to its most. You have to look into everything we discussed today. You have to understand the market, understand the business, understand the account, the past campaigns, current campaigns, and how your efforts or what you will add will result. And by just adding a business model showing the benefit of what they're putting with you or what they will be investing with you would make the client trust you to the most and would definitely be on board. That was it for today. If you have any questions about how to get that client on board, all you have to do is send us or write your questions on our Google Partners Arabia page with hashtag #AskArabia. Also, if you need to contact us, you can easily contact us through our support lines or through chat or via email, and we'd be more than happy to answer all your questions. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.